Illum ħan nintaqgħu ma' Marcus Harrison, dilettant kbir tal-vetturi klassiċi u fil-fatt dan l-aħħar ġab Malta karozza li hija interessanti immens. Ħan niskopru daqsxejn iktar fuqha. Marcus, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tom.
I noticed this new acquisition and I couldn't resist the temptation to invite you on the program and discuss this unique and very interesting car. Can you give me a bit of background about the model itself?
Yeah, I mean, this is a 1972 Fiat 130 Coupe, one of 4,400 roughly that were ever produced. Yeah, I mean, it was a commercial failure. The car was prohibitively expensive, equivalent of about 70,000 euros in today's money.
Okay. And badged Fiat,
Fiat. Yeah, I mean,
doomed
this
to fail.
Was the problem. Doomed to fail, very much. I mean, it was a bit of a. I think at the time Fiat wanted to, or had illusions of entering the same market as the Mercedes-Benz, etc. And they pulled out all the stops, it has to be said. I mean, it's a very well-made car. I mean, I've done some work on it, and it's surprisingly how well put together it is.
Can we see some of the specifications? I mean, what type of engine, etc.?
Okay, she has a 3.2 litre V6 Lampredi. Aurelio Lampredi was the designer of the engine. He's famously designed the Fiat Lancia twin cam, a lot of Ferrari engines. He was working Ferrari at the time. It's a popular misconception that these cars have a Ferrari engine. It's not actually true. It's a Ferrari related engine. He produced the same engine for the Berliner version, which is the four-door version of this.
Okay, so there was a four-door version.
There was a it looked nothing like this.
And slightly larger numbers as well.
Yes, yes, very much so. It was a very attractive car. It looked like a large Fiat 125.
Right.
And it was criticised, in fact. That's how this was born. They criticised this new flagship Fiat for being too
much like a previous model.
like a large, small Fiat.
Okay. So then they got Pininfarina to do design to design.
Exactly. Specifically, Paolo Martin of Pininfarina. They passed it to him, and he came up with this. What I think is a fantastic shape, and it is recognised by Pininfarina themselves as one of the most significant designs of the period. A lot of cars borrowed styling cues from this later on. I mean, especially when you look around the back of the car, you'll see the lights are very reminiscent of a Ford Granada that came out 4 or 5 years later. It paved the way for this square-edged sort of look, really.
A new era in design. One thing I noticed was that normally this type of oddball model, they wouldn't invest that much, so they'd use lots of parts readily available from existing models to try to keep the costs low. I don't think that happened in this case.
No, as far as I'm aware, pretty much all of the car is bespoke. I mean,
just looking at the headlamps, I've never seen.
Yeah, apparently they were the largest or the widest production headlights at the time. I think some of the switchgear is shared, with other Pininfarina models. That's the crucial thing. This was built at the Pininfarina
plant. That's what I was going to ask. Was it manufactured by Fiat or Pininfarina?
No, the bodies were built at the Pininfarina plant and they were built by hand. So, they were famous. Legend has it that you cannot remove the door from this and put the door from another 130 Coupe on. It won't fit. There will be
even the same.
You'll have to start trimming and messing around to get it to fit perfectly. So they were very bespoke. Hence the price. I mean that probably was part of the reason for the price being so astronomical. Because everything was done.
Did it bring any new technologies to the market? Is there anything specific?
Yeah, it was the first production car to have laminated windscreen and rear window, and I believe also the first production car to have optic fibre lighting. Because crucially with this, and you find with a lot of bespoke design cars, a designer will do the outside of the car and somebody else will do the inside. Paolo Martin, when he designed this, he did everything. So the interior was totally his design as well, and he included optic fibre lighting, which is commonplace today, but was rare in 70s.
Who was the typical client for this car?
Well, famous owners,
including this one,
including this one. This had a famous owner. Yes, had an Italian actor, Marcello Mastroianni.
Marcello Mastroianni was the first owner of this specific model. So
Sophia Loren
possibly had Sophia Loren sitting
quite
next
possibly.
to him.
She had one of her own as well. Sophia Loren ordered one. The then president of the Italian president, forgetting his name now, of the time, ordered one for his son. Gosh, there's quite a list. One of the British politicians had one as well. Basically, the cars were sold to rich and famous. Whether they were sold to them because Agnelli wanted them to be seen driving them is another thing.
Maybe there was a bit of sponsorship related discounting.
Even Enzo Ferrari had one as his everyday car.
As well?
There's plenty of pictures of him riding around and driving around in one of these.
What is it like to drive?
It's not what I expected, I have to say. I expected a sort of wallowy, super comfortable. I mean, it is very comfortable.
But this magnitude of car, it explains the Rolls-Royce swoosh type of...
It's quite a firm ride. It handles extremely well. In fact, in period, road tests said that the handling was exemplary for a car of its size. It's quite a taut, tight, I wouldn't call it an involving drive, but it's more involving than you would expect.
Is what we see part of the basic spec, or were there a lot of options that person could choose from at the time?
There weren't many options. Manual gearbox was one, a handful were built, about 50. Air conditioning was an option. This unfortunately doesn't have. And I think a leather interior was an option over and above the velour.
Okay. But the velour was actually the standard kit at the time.
For me, it just screams 1970s.
But looking at it in context, I think it actually really suits the car.
Yes. I specifically wanted this interior.
You also mentioned earlier there were some quirky gadgets that you don't normally find and are quite unique to the model.
Yeah, the main one being the ability to open the passenger door from the driver's seat. There's a lever alongside the bonnet release. Could get interesting if you press the wrong one. You pull it and the passenger door pops open. Yeah, which was something I've never seen in a car before.
No,
and of course you've got the blinds in the back, which are quite unusual, the roller blinds that come up from the rear deck, which I don't think a lot of cars had at the time. But
possibly the highlight of the car are the looks. I mean, if you see it driving along, it's
tremendous
awesome design and Marcus, thank you very much for the opportunity and for sharing this unique and really, really beautiful and stylish model.
You're welcome. Thank you.